All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Chad McDaniel with Execs in the Know. Happy December. I mean, my goodness, where did this year go? I think we're all feeling that way. And I know how special time is for all of us right now. And thank you for listening today. And Execs in the Know has brought together a very thoughtful conversation. I can't wait to introduce you to a couple of our guests. Also, I was going to say, Robin, I'll introduce you and Ben here shortly, but we have a great retail brand case study today, and you can imagine how hard it is to get a retail in December, but they're very passionate about what they do for their consumers and customers, and it's a pleasure to get some of their time. So with that, welcome. We're here to really talk about 2023 and some roadmap. I'll get into more of that conversation here in a minute. As I said, I really do appreciate your listenership and joining us today. I'll introduce our guest and Airkit. Ben, it's great to see you guys again. You've been great to our community and been very involved. So thank you for coming out and supporting some of the thought leadership and the conversation and the goals we hope to achieve today. Before we get in today, I just want to say we're excited for 2023. Execs in the Know, we have a lot of things planned. Our next national summit, Customer Response Summit, is going to be in Austin. It's really about passion, power, and purpose. That's what we're building the theme on. Stay for some exciting announcements. But if you've ever been to one of our Customer Response Summits, you know how special they are. How intimate and just the learning and sharing that goes on. So do mark your dates for March 1st and 3rd. And if anyone's been to Austin, it's a great place to host a conference. Lots of fun things going on there. If you're new to Execs in the Know, if this is your first time, we are a corporate CX sharing community. I call leaders learning from leaders. Execs in the Know, I always looked at for the last 15 years is kind of like the corporate playbook for the CX leader. So we're very blessed to have so many great brands and people in our community sharing ideas around everything across the customer journey, the employee journey, and really it's been a passion of ours bringing it all together in a very shared and best practice way. If you haven't been to our website, just go to execsintheknow.com. We have a lot of great research and other things we're putting out there and publishing to our group. And our corporate board, I want to say thank you again for our leaders from our board. We have a number of retailers that are involved in our community along with our board, Robin, so you're in good company. But at the end of the day, our corporate board are not only passionate about what they do, respected in their brands, but what they're helping elevate the learning and sharing in our industry. So a big kudos to the board. One great place, if you're not already involved, is to get involved in our online community called Know It All. This is a private online community where you can connect with hundreds of others of your peers. And the conversations are very, very rich and just some great community conversations. You can reach out to hundreds of other leaders and have meaningful connections and meaningful conversations in a very collective way. So enough of Execs in the Know. Ben and Robin, let's get started. I'm going to, first of all, thank you for your time. I know, Ben, how busy you have been over the course of the year and just all the things you've been doing within the Airkit leadership group. Ben, let's start with you. For our guest and our audience that may not be familiar with Airkit, can you give us a quick overview of Airkit and your role there?
Yeah, happy to. And Chad, thanks for having us on today. Really thrilled to be here. My name's Ben Somorjai. I am a product manager focused on our ecosystem efforts here at Airkit. I've been here about 3 years and very thankful for the journey so far. Airkit is a component-based application development platform, really purpose-built for customer experience. So we make it super easy for your developers to connect your back-end systems to your customers and reach them on their channel of choice, whether that be web, SMS, email, or voice, and deliver that faster than ever before. Thrilled to be joined today by one of our awesome customers at Faherty, and really excited to talk you through what they've done with Airkit and how they've really delivered some amazing results for their customers so far. So Robin, maybe I'll just let you introduce yourself real quick.
And real quick, Ben, before we go to Robin, sorry to interrupt. Ben, would you help us through the journey of this conversation? Because I know Airkit works with a number of leading brands and organizations, retail, non-retail. If you can add some of the observations and best practices as we have the conversation, I greatly would appreciate it. We could use that help. So thank you. Robin, I gave you a shout out. I hope everybody today goes on Faherty's website and purchase something lifestyle orientated. Tell us a bit about the company for those that are not familiar with your brand.
Sure. Yeah. So, hi, everybody. My name is Robin Porter, and I manage customer experience for Faherty brand. So, for those that don't know much about Faherty, it's an awesome family-owned company started in 2013 by two twin brothers who kind of saw a gap in the market for high-quality clothes for people who enjoy an active lifestyle but still want to look good doing it. And the brand started out on the road in a little mobile beach house that kind of went up and down the coast selling swimsuits, board shorts, and beautiful hoodies. And since then, our selection has grown to everyday wear for men and women and kids. And we have stores all across our country, as well as accounts with major retailers like Nordstrom. A little bit about me. I joined Faherty almost 5 years ago after spending most of my early career in account management in marketing and advertising. During that time, realized that my true passion was really in people. And I was lucky enough to find a spot working at Faherty on our CX team. I've led the CX team for the past 3 years, and through that time have seen the company grow from 6 to 50 stores nationwide. And our customer base grow from thousands to millions. So it's been pretty incredible to witness. And we've definitely learned a lot in the process, but I am enjoying the heck out of it.
Sounds like a great brand, active lifestyle, comfort lifestyle, I guess, right? And I look forward to checking out more about the line. I love the story of the brothers and the background and the entrepreneurism that they've had and what they've taken it to today. I think you mentioned you're national, you operate all 50, or you have 50 stores and online, but you're nationally across the country, the brand.
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I want to start to lean in here, and I'd like to start out, audience, with a poll. So everybody on this call, I want you to take a minute and help me with this poll question. And then Ben and Robin, we're going to lean into the conversation and really give our audience some good learnings here. So here's the poll question. Hopefully everyone is seeing this poll question right now. The question is, our biggest pain point from a customer experience standpoint is, I know it's hard because I'd want to put 2 or 3. I think we're putting this to one selection for today, but I'd be curious what you folks are saying where we're at this moment of time, December 2023. So if you could take a minute, everyone vote. I'd love to see some of the participation of what we're seeing. I have some guesses to what I think we're going to see. But I'd love to hear from you. So if you haven't done, just go in there, quickly vote, just take a second, not hard to do. Christmas gift to Chad, help me out, and we'll put some results in here. So as we're going in here, a couple of folks are voting. Let me just refresh the results before I push anything down. So I'll just sort of speak to it here. So one of the things that came in on the poll in no scientific order, and I was wrong when I said, Ben, I think what I feel the answers could be, but at least at this moment in time, receiving buy-in from other departments internally has sort of ranked up there. And I'm a little surprised by that. I don't know if there's any reaction you have. Of course, broken customer experience across service channels. I get that. The cost of service, broken customer experience is the leading one on the vote. But receiving buy-in from internal partners, I'm surprised by that, Ben.
So I'm actually not at all. I think that's what we hear the most often from our customers in the Fortune 500, as well as kind of some leading brands out there. And I think what we see more often than not is there's this huge backlog of projects. I think most people have, at least at this point in time, a great understanding of where they want to go and what experiences they want to deliver for their customers, but they don't have the resources or the tools to really make that happen. And their IT teams have an enormous backlog, and they can't prioritize customer experience fast enough for where we're going in the world, in this digital first world. And so more often than not, our customers are looking to a platform like Airkit to really help accelerate the development of these customer facing experiences and tying them back to their investments that they've already made in those back-end systems.
Yeah. And it's interesting from that viewpoint. I could see it, Ben, and I'm glad I asked you that question, and thank you for sharing. Well, audience, I appreciate your participation in there. Robin and Ben, you're taking control of the slides now, so let's start to lean in. I know we've got a lot of things we want to share with our audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chad. Really appreciate it. Robin, thrilled to be doing this, and thank you again for joining. Would love to go back to the beginning. Maybe when you first started at Faherty and what led you kind of to our journey together. But what were some of those biggest challenges that you saw that you all were facing in terms of the way you interacted with customers? And really, what was that aha moment for you when you realized, hey, we need to do something about this. We need to fix it fast.
Yeah. I think like a lot of CX teams, we kind of got into that vicious cycle of being reactionary all the time. And that just wasn't going to cut it as long as we were going to grow the way that we were growing. So I think we really needed something as soon as possible that we could implement yesterday. That was kind of going to scale with us as we grew. And this, again, seeing Airkit's ability to go to market really quickly was a huge plus for us, for sure.
What were some of those pain points that you were feeling that really caused you to take action?
Man, touching on that poll question again, I think the buy-in from other departments it was a huge roadblock for us. So I think having more than just CX weigh in on a solution, and being able to bring in departments like merch, marketing, really allowed us to create something that was going to make everybody happy.
Yeah, it's a really great point. I think something that we hear often as well is that building customer experiences has typically been operated in a silo, right? You leave out half of the company or you leave out half of the people that really want to be bought into the process. And because of the way tools are set up today, it's really hard to collaborate over building those experiences. Can you walk through why that was so valuable for you all at Faherty and how you're thinking about increasing collaboration over the next 3, 6, 12 months?
Sure. I mean, I think, again, the growth is a huge part of that, because being on the same page as your marketing and merchandising department and knowing the amount of people that you are going to need to support in 6 months, 12 months based on your sales goals. A lot of that stuff wasn't really communicated down to our team just because, like you said, we are very much working in silos. So I think, again, just knowing that the goals were what they were, we had to be more collaborative. And we had to make something work for our customers because, again, being reactive and trying to just take things in as they came was not an option.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I guess I'm curious, maybe prior to life with Airkit, what were some of those reactive projects that you took on? And how have you kind of seen the change in the way you go about building CX now with a platform like Airkit?
Sure. I know we're going to talk about it, but pre-order was a huge one for us. Pre-order, for those that don't know, is a bit of a logistical nightmare. So it's pretty much allowing customers to order something that has not yet hit our warehouse. But Faherty is kind of infamous for selling things through really quickly because we don't make as much things as a normal retailer might. So there's a lot of things that are hot topics that people really want to buy. But it led to obviously a lot of issues, knowing supply chain delays, all of that stuff. So the pre-order was really special, and that was our first case with you guys. That really allowed us to, instead of waiting for customers to reach out to us saying, where is this? We would send them basically notifications throughout their entire ordering process, letting them know, hey, you have a pre-order item in this order. Here's the expected date. If the date changes, hey, the date changed. And then finally, hey, your order is on the way to you. So it saved us thousands of hours. And I think just a lot of headache on our end, in not having to kind of share out that information every time someone came at us with a question.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. And I'm really excited to dive deeper into that case study. I guess shifting gears a little bit here, omnichannel might be the biggest buzzword in CX over the last 5 years, right? And everyone wants to be omnichannel. Everyone thinks that they're omnichannel. I think we feel like we have a very unique perspective on how to solve the omnichannel problem at Airkit. But wondering for you all at Faherty, can you talk about how you looked at the omnichannel landscape and how you've leveraged technology to help solve that and really meet your customers where they want to be met?
Sure. So I think omni-channel in the past, we had always kind of seen it as a way to sell things to people. So it was
Right.
a way to market and to sell, but it wasn't. It didn't necessarily include the service along with that selling. So again, we were texting people with offers and we're emailing people with offers, and so again, we're kind of engaging with our customers on these platforms, and they're used to us being there. And understandably, then they're going to expect service on those same channels.
Right.
So things like text and chat, we didn't really have that in place. So being able to kind of meet customers where they're at and where they're texting you or emailing you or calling you, that was kind of an aha moment of like,
Yeah.
oh, if we're going to be marketing on these channels, we should also be supporting those channels with service as well. So yeah, including, technologies like Airkit, and especially with our text and chat, has been a huge advance for us for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. And I think oftentimes, especially for retailers, you have so much data on your customers, right? And what you've been able to use that data for is to really get offers in front of them, right? Do marketing outreach to them.
Yep.
But why have we not been able to use that same data that we have in these back-end systems to really help customers solve their problems at the moment in time, right? There's so many situations where you want to escalate up to an agent and you need to talk to a human, and that's great. But historically, until today, until using a platform like Airkit, the only people who have really had access to updating their records in the back-end systems have been agents. And so why can we not put basically a form in front of a customer that's tied into a back-end system, really drive that person to action without ever talking to a human, and then piping that data back in? And I think that that's been the real value for our customers of leveraging a platform like Airkit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think being able to automate those basic requests also just gives us and our team that much more time to personally handle the things that deserve the personal handle. So that's a great point.
Totally. And so I think what that leads to is really you have happy customers, you have happy agents, and hopefully some happy humans.
Yeah.
So what I think would be a great use of our time today, Robin, is really let's talk through your CX goals and initiatives, what you were looking for overall, and then maybe we can talk through each specific use case and the outcome that you've seen, with Airkit.
Sure. Yeah. So again, I think our overall goal here, that's right here at the top, providing the best in class customer service possible by providing self-service in multiple channels for our customers by leveraging automation to drive that self-service. So we have a few solutions here, as you can see. I think we touched on the pre-order, but again, on that, we were able to alert customers at the get-go that they had something in their order that was pre-order. And again, anytime dates changed or once the order shipped, customers were proactively sent a text message that let them know kind of everything they needed to know about that order. So the results of that were awesome. We sent over 6,000 text notifications, and we saved over 30,000 minutes in agent time, which was massive for us. And this is something, again, pre-order is something that we're always going to have. So it's awesome to have this solution just work for us continually. Our second one was for in-store returns, and this was over chat and SMS. So customers are now able to initiate returns for in-store purchases and web purchases via chat or SMS. The in-store purchases for us were a huge one, especially. There was a lot of manual work that was kind of done on the back end by our team, just creating the label, making sure that we were kind of including all of the customer information, all of the product return information. And each of those conversations were taking upwards of 15 minutes. So this has actually automated that entire process to allow, again, the customer to fill out a form, creates a label for them. It gives our returns person a very easy to read spreadsheet that they can, again, download into our return system really easily. So that was a huge win for us. Third one, where is my order? WISMO. Again, the goal here is to deflect these pretty easy to answer questions about where is my order. So we're able to deflect that by self-service. Again, people just entering their order number and then getting a real-time update on whether it's shipped, whether it's processing. So that, again, has saved us a lot of time. And then finally, we have our IVR deflection. So again, my goal one day is to all but eliminate phone calls. Just knowing that we all hate a phone call anyway. But yeah, I think, again, enabling self-service through this deflection, again, giving us way more time to focus on things that deserve the time.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And what I love about this is it's a bunch of unique, different use cases, right? They're all very different. But I think the commonality that we're seeing is Airkit is really the data connector and workflow between the customer and your brand, and then those backend systems. And I think that is really what I love. And I think what we love about Faherty is you guys are leveraging the platform in so many different cool ways, but really being able to keep your brand consistent and what your customers are seeing too, I think has been really important to you all.
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. So maybe let's talk through the actual chat use case and what return an order looks like. I think what I would love is maybe the prior state before this use case, before Airkit, and maybe then let's talk through what we actually did together.
Sure. Yeah. So again, for us, the big thing here was around in-store returns in particular. So that process was very manual. Unfortunately, we just have kind of a disconnect with our in-store CRM and kind of payment system, and our kind of the way that we communicate with our customers and the way that things are able to be returned and tracked and all that stuff. So in-store returns in particular, if someone reached out with an in-store return, we would look them up on our order system and find their return, ask them what they needed to be, what they wanted to return. We would have to create a manual label on FedEx, and then we would have to kind of go into a manual tracker. Yep. Enter everybody's name, like what items in particular they were returning, the shipping tracking label. And then we would have someone actually manually tracking those returns to make sure that they were returned and everything came back properly. And yeah, so it was, I mean, again, it took upwards of 15 minutes just for one little thing. So the way that Airkit changed this was that so if we follow this, this little wireframe here, so if someone reaches out either over chat or SMS, they get an email or they get a message asking, cool, what's your order number? The customer provides that order number, and the Airkit is able to determine whether or not that is an in-store or web-based order. If it's an in-store order, we kind of go through this process with the customer where we would ask them to kind of fill out a form for us, which would auto-populate basically everything that we needed on the back end. So it would include giving them a shipping label so that they could actually return the item. And then it also kind of gave us, again, a good view of what exactly they were returning. The customer only has to click on the items that they wanted to return. They don't have to do any manual SKU entering. And then all of that would come back to us in a really nicely packaged piece of information. And the customer would be happy and on their way and wouldn't know that it took just a few seconds.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Love to see that. And I guess as we go to the next slide, we zoom out a little bit and we think about kind of the ROI of investing in a digital first customer experience approach. Do you mind walking us through some of these numbers here and what Faherty was able to accomplish?
Sure. Yeah. So again, I think we've saved thousands of hours just being able to automate some of these very basic requests that in the past our team was taking 5, 10, 15 minutes to respond to. So again, all of that just means that gives our team more bandwidth to handle things that are a lot more complicated, like financial issues or price adjustments or damages, things like that. So again, I think that time back has been priceless for us. And speaking of which, I think the amount of money that we have saved because of those time and cost savings is incredible. Again, 125K in just this last year. So again, that means that I have more money to grow my team as needed. I have more money to, intro these new technologies and more use cases. And again, 2.2 ROI is pretty darn incredible. Again, especially just thinking that these are just a few of our, options that we've looked into, and there are so many more. So again, for me, all of this just means that we have more time to really service the customer when needed, especially in those more higher touch situations. Because I think that's something that we never want to give up. Which again, that's the beauty of automation. I think it gives even more highlight to the personal service of it all.
Yeah, no, these are just incredible numbers, and I think we're really proud of them here at Airkit. I think what's also missing from these slides, though, is not only the hours and time saved in the contact center, but also the hours and time saved of the development team. Can you talk through maybe how that really helped you all increase your velocity in terms of deploying customer-facing experiences, and maybe those numbers that are a little bit harder to measure, but the intangible value of leveraging a platform like Airkit that is so easy and quick to build on?
Sure. I mean, yeah, we have definitely worked with partners in the past where turnaround time is 4 to 6 to a year long. So Airkit was able to take kind of our issues and figure out, okay, cool, development time here is going to be weeks instead of months, which for us was incredible. Again, I think the fact that you guys were very passionate too about making sure that we were considering all sides of the business and not necessarily just customer service, because really a happy customer affects every single department that you work for. So I think you guys, again, we're not insanely technologically savvy. And there's so much partnership throughout. Again, thank you for that. But it was a constant communication and checking in and making sure that we were including the right people to really build out a tool that was going to be thorough and actually helpful for everybody. So I think that the willingness to work with us and kind of really pull through for us in a time when we didn't have time to wait. We didn't have time to be patient, and we didn't have time to wait months for a solution. And yeah, you guys came in strong for us.
I appreciate that. It's been an awesome partnership. And I think that leads me to maybe my next question. It's really, how do you think about the next 6, 12, 18 months and beyond in terms of scaling your CX operation with technology?
Yeah. So as far as I know, we are going to continue to grow. Like I said, we're almost at 50 stores. Looking into the next year, we're maybe doubling that. So again, the growth is going to continue to happen. So I think it's just realizing that with that growth, we are going to have more and more customers that are finding our brand for the first time, and that need to have a really special experience with us. So I think for those customers that are used to us, it's making sure that we're staying consistent with them and that they feel like they're at home with us every time they shop. And then it's also giving that bright, shiny, experience to the brand new person who maybe doesn't have that typical question about a return or, something that's going to be easy to solve. Again, I think personal service will always be necessary. And especially for a brand like ours, that is very, tied into lifestyle and just personal choice and all that stuff. I think, again, trying to be very empathetic to the fact that there are so many choices out there, and we have to be one of the best ones. And we're going to do what we can to stay there.
I love that. And I guess maybe zooming out just a little bit more, how do you think about customer expectations evolving over the next 5 years? And really, how do you think about planning for the future in terms of investing in technology, investing in people, opening up more stores? How does that go into Faherty's maybe 3-5 year plan going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think customers' expectations, man, I think people are, I don't want to say people are getting more and more high maintenance, but I think that people do expect
Yeah.
really quick and really thorough service. I think part of that is because we are attached to our phones a lot. We expect people to, the way that we expect our friends to text us back right away. It's kind of the same thing with a company. I mean, I think we do just need to get better about being quicker and also being where the customer is. Again, hence why we have chat and SMS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a few parts to that question. But I think we will need to keep scaling our technology. We will need to be getting smarter with our AI and with our deflection and things like that, because the customer base will continue to grow. But again, that expectation for very high quality customer service will probably always be there too.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what we've seen is, as consumers, we're all used to interacting with the Amazons of the world, the Ubers of the world, the DoorDashes of the world. And they've made it so easy to interact with their brands that I think we have those same expectations, whether we're talking to a clothing company, whether we're talking to an insurance company, whether we're talking to our bank. How do we have these Amazon-like experiences with anyone we're dealing with? And so far, companies don't have the resources, nor do they have the time to really keep up with that demand. And it's why I love our story so much, because Faherty really invested in changing, the way you interact with your customers, and you were able to deliver it at just an incredible speed, probably way faster than your competitors. And I think what we've seen is the way you've been able to grow has just been unbelievable. And we've been so fortunate, I think, to be in lockstep with you all for quite some time now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was looking at our staff and numbers from last year, and we have the same amount of staff that we did last year as we do this year, but we have twice the sales, which is saying something.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And folks, if you have never purchased Faherty clothes, if you don't own any, you have to buy it. It is the comfiest stuff on the market. You're going to be so happy. Your grandkids, your kids will be super happy for holiday gifts as well. Robin, thank you again for an awesome conversation. Really thankful to have you.
Thank you, guys. This is fun.
And Chad, I think we got one more question to wrap it up.
Yeah, I actually got a couple of questions. An audience, if you want to throw any in there, please do. There is a question box. You can put that into there. So again, thank you. So I do have a quick softball question poll that I'm going to ask all of you, our leaders in here. So if we could go ahead and push this to the audience. I made this one super easy for you. In 2023, we're looking forward to All of the above, I believe. So if you want to put a note in there, feel free to vote into that. But I made a real easy softball question for us. So let's do this. First of all, Robin, I'm going to go online and purchase a wrong size shirt, and I'm going to go through the order return process and feel that experience. And I'm not kidding. I'm going to give it a shot and see how that goes. So I know where to reach you, but I look forward to it. Robin, a quick clarification. When you went to implement the digital channels, what was the timeline around that? Again, that was the chat, SMS, text, that piece of it. What did that timeline look like? Can you clarify?
Yeah. So I think, are we talking the pre-order potentially?
Whatever you want to take. So I'm just trying to get a sense of timeline.
Pre-order. I think we brought this to you guys December of last year. Mm-hmm. And by the first week of January, we were live with texts out to our customers. So again, your developers were able to kind of get in touch with our ordering system and figure out what those triggers were. And once we were able to connect to that, we were able to go live right away. So I think it was like 5.5 weeks of development until launch.
Okay. Just real quick, any surprises, anything just to share back with the audience in that's insanely quick, but 5.5 weeks, was there any surprises in there or observation that you'd want to share with the learning of this group?
I mean, man, I feel like that it was such an easy process. We definitely had some testing to make sure that we were kind of catching all of the potential, weird things about our ordering system. But no, I mean, kinks were worked out really quickly and it was relatively smooth.
So let me ask, there is not one person in our community that's going to disagree with the value of self-service, the need of creative ways to look at self-service. We've been talking about this as a community for years now, and we're in different maturity and different evolutions of that. I guess the question, Ben, Robin, why is it still a thing? Why is it still a challenge? Why are we at times still struggling with this? What's causing this? We know what we'd like to do. We know what we need to do, but yet sometimes we're still not there.
I think from our perspective, it really has to do with the connections to those back-end systems. I think self-service often happens in a silo. Why is it today? I had this experience as a consumer the other day that you go on, I messed up an order. I needed to change my address. So I was hit with a chatbot trying to change my address. I got fed up, escalated to an agent. The agent had no idea what the chatbot was asking me. So she asked me the same 10 questions the chatbot asked me. She couldn't even solve my problem. And her solution was go cancel your order and reorder again because she couldn't change my address in the system.
Crazy.
And this is a well-known company that is thought of as kind of a new age, clothing company. And they couldn't even solve my problem. And so I think in that case, what we see is that the chatbot isn't connected to the backend CRM or the contact center. And then it gets up to the agent and they have to run you through those same 10 questions. And I think just alleviating those workflows and those connections, I think is really where most people go wrong.
Let's play on that a little bit. Assuming, let's say that's correct. And I tend to agree that's definitely an issue. What do we got to do? I mean, if I'm listening to this call right now and I say, oh my gosh, Ben, that resonates so well in our system or in our company, one of the reasons the connection to the backend system, what's causing that? Are we just not being mindful of things? Is it a legacy system thing? I mean, what is it?
To be honest, I think it's mostly technology sprawl. I think people have invested in too many point solutions trying to solve individual problems, but they haven't done the work to zoom out and say, how do I actually approach a platform that can really get to my customers where they want to be met and is connected all the way back to our back-end systems and will give us the full view of who our customer is and why they're coming in and trying to get help from us.
And I'm not saying Robin has it easy, but a lot of people in our community would love to have Robin's world. I don't have all that legacy system. I don't have all of that sprawled technology. So it's a lot easier in certain ways. And I don't want to simplify what's not 100% factual, probably, Robin. So, but let's say an easier landscape where others have that legacy stuff. With the companies you've worked with in that situation, where do you kind of start? How do you dig in, or what's sort of the roadmap?
So I think we feel uniquely positioned to be able to take on a lot of those legacy systems. I mean, the majority of our customers are insurance or banks, as well as, a handful in retail. Insurance and banks have a lot of legacy systems. Many of them are homegrown. And so what we've done with customers like a MetLife is we've taken 12 different systems on the back end. 7 of them are homegrown, and found ways to interact with them and really be able to push and pull data to and from those systems. Certainly not every platform is able to do that, but I think we feel like our platform is enterprise grade. It's been built for the enterprise, has been built to help companies that haven't been able to kind of solve their CX projects be able to do that and really accelerate that process faster than ever before.
And I want to say, Ben, thank you. And I want to say to our audience, never say never. No matter how challenged the situation may be, we're in such a state of the state going into 2023, the uniqueness of pilots. I mean, I'm speaking stuff you already know. So we've got to keep pushing the envelope, and we got to keep exploring, and we got to keep sharing with each other different test things that are working for us respectfully. It's great to have people like Robin in our community that can give us a real current, fresh perspective of that journey within her demographic. Robin, before I move on, though, the question I was saying, everyone on this call is going to subscribe to what we're talking about here. I don't know if there's a certain suggestion or a certain comment you wanted to bring before I move on, but I want to give you a chance to react.
Yeah, I mean, as I kind of brought up earlier, Faherty really did not have anybody development savvy, tech savvy. We've kind of just been doing our best. So that was a huge, I think, roadblock for us, or maybe just it made us a little bit scared to venture out into these things because we didn't have the know-how and we didn't have those people who were able to tap into the back end, like Ben was saying. So that was a little bit scary, but again, knowing that we had this partner in Airkit who would help us figure out who that right person was in our CRM and figure out who that right person was with our POS system and connect all of us together. That again, we would not have really been able to do that ourselves. So that was a huge benefit. And I think another part of this is like, we also are able to build these things out ourselves. So once we get smarter and once we start thinking about these ideas, we can build out these pathways on our own, which is great.
Perfect. Good point. I want to shift a little bit because we did have a title in here called the human digital experience, and human is such a piece of this equation. I want to get a little edgy, but I think as a community, we need to talk about it. I'm going to go to the other extreme where we had the Frontier Airlines announcement of 100% digital. We've collapsed the phone channel. Our customers want to only interact with us in digital channels. That's their preference, or at least that's what the communication has come across from their organization. Before I react, Ben, I want to get your thoughts. That's a real-time case study going on right now.
Yeah.
What is your reaction to that? Because they're saying they're just going 100% digital.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I read the news, and it feels like a rush decision, I guess, is what I'll say. It feels like an overreaction to, I think, where the world is going. I think the majority of consumers today would prefer to interact in a digital way, especially for those simple situations like a where is my order or an order return flow. Yeah. Great example.
100%.
But there are a million other examples where you do need to talk to a human, and that's okay. And I think we at Airkit understand that and we recognize that. One, how do we solve issues ahead of time that don't require a human? It's great. 2, how do we give the agent all of the tools and the context to help them solve problems faster? Is, I think, the other side of the coin and where we see the world going. And again, back to my earlier point, why you cannot invest in point solutions, because nothing is tied together. It doesn't help the agent solve the problem. And you end up having, as we saw during COVID, insane wait times, right? People waiting forever to talk to an agent, but also incredibly unhappy customers because they're met with these point solutions that can't help solve their problem, right? So everything in your CX operation has to be tied together. And you need, going back to my earlier point, I said much earlier with Robin, you need the collaboration of your entire team to build out these processes. Everyone should be a stakeholder, from your IT team and your developers to your traditional CX team, to your marketing and design team, to your sales team. How do you make the process of building these experiences more collaborative and really increase the buy-in across your company so that everyone feels like they have a stake?
Well said. Ben, I don't know in your former life if you were a politician, you handled that one beautifully. Thank you. I think we should do a webinar actually on that whole debate of what we see and envision in that regard. There's going to be a lot of different viewpoints and a lot of different opinions. And I think you handled it well. Thank you. Robin, I want to take that. I'm assuming at Faherty, you have not gone 100% digital. You still have a human element to this, and probably plan to still have a human element to this. I'm curious to hear your perspective on the importance of keeping that human element within a heavily digital CX world. So, where do you see?
Again, I feel like I've brought it up a few times, but personal, human, caring service will always be appreciated by customers. And I think too, for our brand in particular, we are a family-owned brand. We care about the environment. We care about social issues. We care about things beyond just what we're selling. So I think the human, it'd be unnatural to remove the human aspect part of it. I think we have such a cool fleet of people, and that also includes our stores. I think being able to eventually, bring this over to our store teams so that they have similar tools and they have these automations as well. But they can almost work in our stead as real human customer service agents. So I think as long as we have real life stores, I think, and as long as we have a face on our family brand, that part of it will always be necessary and really kind of a beautiful thing to keep.
Very good. Well, it's been quite a pleasure to have both of you. I can say thank you. I know we've had a lot of our retailers listening today too. And what an exciting time to be in the retail space. I think any of our spaces, but especially with that ever changing consumer expectation and demand. I'm thinking across all of our career journeys, this has got to be one of the most interesting and exciting times to be what we do, and seeing the fast, rapid change of taking place in different adoptions and needs and just experiences. It's going to be a fun ride. I can't wait for the next 5 years alone to see where we're going to have these conversations. I'm going to close on this, Ben. As we continue down this topic, it's not going to go away. We're going to keep talking through these things. What would be some quick advice for the teams that are already in that digital journey? I know thinking of the journey, it's easy there, but would there be certain advice for us as we continue to think about this discussion we just had?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think the biggest advice I have is really, if we go back to the root cause of why companies haven't been able to go digital fast enough. What is causing you to not be where you want to be? Because I think we all know people have a good understanding of where they want to go, but why have you not been able to accomplish it? Is it because of internal processes, lack of resources? Is it because of systems that you have and legacy systems not being able to connect to existing systems? Is it because you've invested in point solutions, right? And then going back from there and being very prescriptive and going forward about how you want to be able to solve that and really what's the root cause of the problem. And then selfishly would tell everyone here to go to airkit.com and sign up for a free trial and see what you can build, or at least have your IT teams sign up and see what they can build as well. And I'll just shout out, my email is ben@airkit.com if anyone wants to get in touch. It's very easy. So, thanks for having us again, Chad. But
yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I just, for everybody, stay close to our community. We are a sharing community. If you're not part of our private online community, know it all. Robin, you've got to get on there too. There's got some great community members and so forth. I will leave with this though. Christopher, thank you. He's asked a question. I know it's top of mind for everybody. He'd love to hear our comments on Frontier. I want to have a webinar on this. I want to have a debate. Let's do it in January. But Robin, what's your opinion? Keep it polite.
Man, so part of why I love automation, I think, is because it opens up so many doors for the real life people on your team. And that, for me, if that part is missing, I guess if that personal part is missing, what are the incentives to work for a customer service team? That I think that's a little bit of my hang up, I think. That makes sense.
Ben, do you have anything else you want to say? I'm going to be a little direct. I can be that way.
I feel good about, what I've laid out so far. My opinion in general is that extreme is never the answer, right? Extreme in one way or another is never the answer. And I think it's really going back and assessing, how do we make the experience better for our customers across the board? And it has to be the marriage of digital and human. And I don't think there's any way anyone else can argue that. So I don't, I'm not going to go too much further in depth there, but again, think there has to be a marriage. And I think we at Airkit recognize this more than anyone, of digital and human.
Thank you. And my opinion is, I think everything has a place, absolutely has a place. And I know every industry is different and different viewpoints are different and know your customer and all of that. I honestly believe team, group, community, in the next 5 years, this is not a leading trend. There's going to be a continued push towards self-service. Don't get me wrong on that. But this idea of this is a future trend or happening soon, absolutely not. In the next 5 years, we're going to be, growing self-service, but no by going to that extreme. Literally, I'm disappointed. If Frontier sat on our board, I'd ask them to leave. I think they have done wrong to the customer. And I think it's anyhow, where I stand. We as customer service champions are here about our customers, living and breathing what they need, what they want, how they want to interact, how they want to be serviced, and being there with the channels that they need to have. So I do believe Frontier is in a small boat in a large ocean. We'll see how it goes. But I do applaud and admire the trend setting. I do applaud and admire the willingness to be bold. And maybe I'm completely wrong. So we'll see where things turn out. But we got a little off track. Thank you, Christopher, for getting us off track. But I think you felt the passion. Robin, say thank you to the Faherty brothers today for your willingness to come on and share with us customer experience. I greatly appreciate it. Ben, I know Airkit's going to stay close to our community. You've been such a pivotal part of a lot of our community members. So thank you for the partnership. And I also just want to say thank you again for everybody. Stay well. Have a wonderful Christmas and keep customer number one. Robin, Ben, thank you so much. This will conclude today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.